Namaste, DDs. My name is Sherry Sutton, and I am your business growth guide. So, you took a course, and the course told you to create a course, put it on the internet, and lay back and do nothing, and you're going to get massive amounts of passive income. But then you did it, and it didn't work. And now you're like, crap, what do I do now? I have to tell you, I have had more conversations with entrepreneurs about this issue than any other issue combined. I get calls almost every other day from entrepreneurs who are like, I took a class, I spent all this time and all this money creating this course because someone told me it was a great way to get passive income, and I haven't sold a single one, and I'm still spending, whatever it is, $500 a month on Kajabi. And, Kajabi's great. Nothing against Kajabi, but I'm spending all this money on keeping this thing up, and I'm not making any money on it. What do I do? So I wanted to spend some time kind of talking about that, talking about kind of the myth of that, of this idea that you can just create something, put it on the internet, and all of a sudden it's going to go viral, right? Sometimes it happens. It's awesome, right? Occasionally you hit the right thing and it works. But I can tell you from experience and meeting with dozens and dozens and dozens of entrepreneurs who have tried it and it hasn't worked, that you have to be very cautious when making the decision whether or not to create a course. So let's pull up my slides. Okay. So, I apologize. I just took them off. No, that's too big. How's that? Okay, so let's talk about this myth of creating passive income with a course. So again, you took a class and it told you that all you had to do was make a class, and you got to do this all day. You had to lay on the beach all day. How awesome would that be? But now you look like this, right? You're a little freaked out because you've spent all this time and all this money and nothing is happening. So it can work, but there are caveats. And one of the things that really bothers me about the people who often sell these classes is they don't give you any of those caveats. They just tell you that you have to create the course, and you do it. And of course, you spend a lot of money on their course telling you to create the course, and you do it and nothing happens. And so there are caveats to this. Again, you could get lucky and none of these things count, but for the most part, here are some of the caveats and things you need to think about. So when it works, when do these types of courses work really, really well for your business? So it works really well when you have an existing loyal audience. So people who who've bought from you before, or have asked to buy from you, right? They are a loyal audience. I have a good example of this where not everybody who is in my audience can afford to work with me one-on-one. So I have courses that I've created at lower price points because that loyal audience wants to be able to work with me in a way that's more than just watching these free training videos, but isn't as expensive as working one-on-one, right? So I have an existing loyal audience, but you have to have this. We're going to talk about this more in a minute. The other way that it can work really, really well is when your course is an extension of an existing successful product. So let's use the example of, I don't know why this came to mind. Oh, here you go. Here's a good example. So on my desk is my amazing Nikon camera, right? I've got the Z7II. I love it. Let's say after I bought the camera, Nikon sent me a course saying, hey, we've got this whole course on how to get the most out of your camera. Would you be interested? Great opportunity to create a course and add on some additional revenue to their business, right? Because they have a loyal and existing audience. Me, obviously, I'm loyal because I just spent, whatever it is, $5,000 on a camera, right? And I'm an existing customer, and it's an extension of an already successful product. It's successful because I bought it, right? So there's lots of ways that this could work, right? I'll give you another good example. A good add-on product might be, I'm going to teach you a lot about the strategy of marketing on social media. Let's say that's something that we do one-on-one. But when it comes to the tactics, I can say, look, I can teach you the tactics one-on-one in our one-on-one sessions, but let's use that time for strategy. I've got this other course that's going to teach you the ins and outs of the day-to-day pieces so that you don't have to use your time with me to go through that. That's something that I can very easily record and you can watch over and over again. I do this, right? I have this as a business model. So it's a great revenue generator, but it's an extension of what I'm already doing. Another way that this can work really well is if your course is being sold to the same customers who have bought before. What often happens is entrepreneurs will want to create an extension of their business, right? They want to find new revenue sources, which makes total sense. So they'll create a course. But what they find is that the course, even though it's sort of still within their zone of genius, it tends to be going after a totally different audience. And so now, if you go back to the first rule of, well, do you have an existing audience? Well, now you're trying to sell something to a totally different audience. And you're like, well, crap, I don't have that audience. Now I got to go create that audience, right? So I'll give you a good example of that. Let's say, with my business, right? So my business, so I work primarily with female founders who are entrepreneurs who've had their business for a couple years, right? And are ready to sort of take it to the next level, aren't really sure exactly what they should do, what should they add new products? Should they raise their prices? Should they enter other deals? What should they do, right? So I could add on a course. Let's say I wanted to do a course about how to decide whether or not you want to leave your 9-to-5 job. Okay. I mean, it's still my zone of genius, right? I work with entrepreneurs all the time who've left their jobs, right? But if my target audience is entrepreneurs who's already been running their business for a few years, and I create a course for people who are still working a 9-to-5 and want to get out of that, well, that's a totally different audience, right? I'm talking to people 3 years after that. So now I'm going to have to go find a group of people who are still working and want to become entrepreneurs. Again, it's not impossible, but it's not my existing audience. So that's a whole other marketing plan, a whole other set of effort I need to do to get in front of that audience. And this is often the number one mistake I see people make when they're say, I'm going to go create a course, is they're not selling it to their existing clients who already love them. They're trying to sell it as an extension to a new audience, but they don't have that audience. And then they're like, oh gosh, now I have to find them. And I don't want to do that. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. The other piece of when this can really work is when you've done the market research. So one of the things I see quite frequently, and this is particularly true with coaches, is there's this sense of, if my people only knew this thing, everything would be good. But what they don't realize is that customer isn't ready for that, right? They don't even know that they need it, right? You have to meet your clients where they are. The best marketing takes people on a journey from where they are now to where they want to be. So if they don't know that they need this thing that you know they need because you are a professional coach and you're with them all day long, then they're not going to buy it, right? So you have to make sure you've done your market research, gotten really spend a lot of time talking to your clients and saying, hey, what do you need? Where are you now and where do you want to be? And how can I help you get there through a course? Not, well, this is where they should be, so I'm going to send them something, right? And then they're going to do it. I see this sometimes too with some coaches who they want to do a course as a precursor to working with them. And sometimes that works, but sometimes people just really want to meet you, right? They need to sit across the table or across the screen from an actual human who is explaining these things to them. And so, and I can say this has happened with me even as well, right? Where I'm like, I say the same things kind of over and over again, but when I put them in some sort of a training and say, hey, watch all these things first so you're ready, I find that the level of comprehension it's not the same. Right. And so what I have to do is remember, I'm meeting with my clients where they are. They want to hear these things and learn these things in a one-on-one environment, not in a class. Right. So I have to do that market research and ahead of time and not just say, well, what's easier for me or what should they know? but rather, right, where are they right now and where do they want to be? And can I create a course that gets them there in a way that is an extension onto my business? The other way that creating a course as a way of passive income works is if you're willing to put in the time and the effort to launch it and market it, especially if you're trying to go after a different audience. Even if you're not, right? The idea of I'm going to create a course, I'm going to stick it on my website and everybody's going to know about it. It doesn't work that way, right? People have to see your message at least 7 times before they're even willing to consider buying from you. And now people are saying that's as high as 30. So you have to get in front of your audience over and over and over again in different ways, right? Social media, networking, whatever it might be. And that's where you can work with somebody like me to put together that plan for you. But you still have to put in the time and the effort and sometimes the money to really launch it. Again, the idea of being able to put something on the internet and somehow, everybody's going to find it. It often doesn't work that way, right? So if you're willing to put in that time and the effort, then these courses can be an incredible source of revenue for very little time in the long run, right? Okay, so when doesn't this work, or when might it not work, right? Giving you this training is problematic for me because I like to be very positive and always give you positive things that you can do in your business. But this is one of those places, again, that I have talked to dozens and dozens of entrepreneurs who have fallen into this. And I just don't want to be negative, but there are times where this just often won't work. So it hurts me to say that something can't work, but it is true. And so I want to be honest with you. And if you want a coach who's going to tell you that no matter what you do, you're going to fart glitter and make hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, right? I may not be your coach, right? But I am going to tell you how to do it. I am going to tell you how to make real money with the least possible amount of effort. So, all right. So how might it not work? Well, the first way it might not work is that you have no existing audience to sell to. So I had a woman call me recently, and she's a therapist, a couples therapist, and she and a partner created a whole course for people who are struggling in their marriage. So they have their existing clients, right? Seems like it makes sense. They have their existing clients who have met with them one-on-one, but they don't really have an audience of people who haven't bought with them one-on-one, who haven't come in for sessions. I mean, there might be occasional people who call and you could try to sell to them, but they're not like out there meeting a whole bunch of people, who are struggling with their marriage, right? They're only working so far with people who are doing one-on-one. So the question is, how do they get in front of that audience? Well, it's going to take time and money, right? And effort. And do they want to do that? So if you don't have an existing audience to sell to, this can be problematic. Let's go back to that example for a second, because I want to give you an idea of how it could work. So let's say you're a marriage counselor, right? And you meet with people one-on-one, and that's primarily how you sell your business. Instead of trying to find a new audience of people who, let's say, maybe aren't ready for one-on-one, I would say, let's create a course that helps people after they graduate, right? After they graduate from their therapy to stay on top of things, right? Maybe you sell a journal that's how to keep going with the things we've learned in this course, right? Again, selling to an existing audience. The other way that this often doesn't work is you're unable to spend any time or money on actively getting in front of an audience, right? Of the audience that wants to buy this. I had, this is actually the same example. This woman had taken a course and they told her all she needed to do was make a course. And of course, she spent a ton of money putting it on the, whoever the coaches was, putting it on their website and all this stuff. They spent 4 months creating this incredible, product line or this incredible course, and no one bought it. And I said, well, what did you do to market it? And they said, nothing. We didn't think we had to do any marketing for it. We thought we would just put it online and it would work. And I said, okay, well, that isn't working. So obviously, or else she wouldn't have called me. So let's make a marketing plan for it. And she was real honest and said, I don't want to. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have the effort. I don't have it in me. I've got a full practice. My goal was to create this course and then just have it make money without having to put anything and any additional time or effort into it. And again, unless you're selling to an existing audience, even if you are selling to an existing audience, that can make it very problematic to get this into the right hands. The other way that this might not work is if you're trying to sell something to people when they think they need it, but they don't want it. And I talked about this a little while ago, and I love this picture of this little girl with the broccoli. She's like, I don't want that, right? You want to sell something to people that they know that they need. And so again, I find this often with coaches who've been doing this for a really long time. They're brilliant and they see the patterns and they're like, this is what my people need. But people don't know that they need it, and so they don't want to buy it. So again, this goes back to that market research, going and making sure you really understand where your customers are at and what they need. Okay, so what do you do if you've built that course and it's not bringing in any money? Well, a couple things. One, if you do have an existing audience, ask them for advice, right? Go to them and say, hey, I've been selling this course, or I've been trying to sell this course. It's not selling, honestly, give me some honest feedback. Why haven't you bought it, right? What's the issue here? Is it not the right content? Have I not told you about it enough times that you knew about it or you remembered to buy it, right? Get their feedback. They are your best asset. They're the ones who pay you. Ask them what they need. If you don't have an existing audience, this is the moment where you have to really sit down with yourself or with somebody like me, right? I'm working with 2 different clients right now who are in this situation where we're really sitting down and saying, okay, are you willing to do what it takes to create the audience to buy this product, to buy this course, right? It's time, it's effort, it might be some money, right? Depending on the marketing plan that we put together. Are you willing to do that? Like I told you the example a few minutes ago, sometimes people say no, like I'm good. I'd rather walk away and, get my head back in the game and focus on my other businesses as opposed to, spending the extra time and the effort to find this new audience. And that is okay. I am here to tell you that I have launched programs that have not worked, right? Because I didn't do the right research, or I thought it was the right time, or the messaging wasn't right for whatever reason. We all do it. We all create products that sometimes don't work, right? I've had wildly successful products. I've had ones that haven't worked well, and that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. It is okay to walk away sometimes. Again, might not need to. And so, if you want to talk about this, this is exactly what I do. This is my superpower. All right. Another thing is, if you don't have an audience, but you really don't want to give up on this thing, there's one thing that you could do, which is find a partner who's able to sell it. So what you can do is you can say, so let's go back to the marriage therapist, right? They created this whole course for like how to save your marriage on your own without a therapist. Well, how do they get in front of people who are struggling in their marriage and aren't ready for a therapist? Well, maybe they could go to churches and say, hey guys, like I have put together this great course. I know you often do things, right? Or you have people come in who are struggling in their marriage. You guys are marriage counselors. We are. Why would you be interested in selling us this course? And, maybe we'll do a revenue share or whatever it might be, right? There's all different ways that you could try to find partners to sell. Now, keep in mind, those partners need to be well incented, and it is going to take you some effort to maintain your relationships with those folks. Make sure that they're continuing to sell your product. But that's an option as well, and a really good one for many people. Okay, so if all of this resonated with you, hold on, I want to make sure you can read my email. All right. If this resonated with you, if you have a course or if you're thinking about developing a course and you want to make sure that you're doing it in the most strategic way possible to make sure that every single second you spend on it and every dime you spend on it is going to bring you in revenue, please give me a call. I am a business growth guide. I work with small businesses just like you to help them make those decisions every single day. My goal is to help you to create the best products and the best marketing plans to get the most customers and the most revenue with the least amount of effort and the least amount of money. So here's my contact information. I would love to chat with you. I work with my clients primarily one-on-one, but I also have a masterclass that the next one I believe is going to be in September. So it'll run September, October, and probably part of November. So if you're interested in that, send me a note. I will put you on the waiting list for that. And I hope you enjoyed this. I do free trainings just like this every single Thursday. Give me a holler, put a note in the comments below if you have ideas on future topics, because I am here to serve you and to help you grow your business. I hope you have a fabulous day.